Okay, I'm starting on this Ducati tank to reline it. This is the one that was really rusty. I showed in the other videos there with the USB endoscope. He brought me the cap, but it didn't have an O-ring on there. It goes in the top of the tank here, and this was all rusted right in here around the top of the tank on the rim. So it looks like this thing's just held in with set screws on here. Not looks like, it is held on with set screws. And the O-rings on here. I found one laying around here that's actually out of a V-Rod cylinder liner or sleeve O-ring, because it uses a wet liner. So that's what I had to fit in there. So we're going to seal this thing up now so I can, actually now I have to take the fuel pump out first and the filter, and then block off all the lines inside the little vacuum caps to keep sealer from getting inside the lines there. So the pump is just clipped in. It's got like a little clip down in the bottom of the gas tank that it just sits in. You just pull up on it, the whole thing comes out. Same with the filter. The filter is just hooked up to the pump with a rubber line, and then it's hooked up to a. So let me pull this. Let me pull this pump out of here. All right. So I couldn't get the clamp off the standpipe for the fuel pump, and filter goes on, so I had to cut it because the clamp is just rusted solid shut. So let's go ahead and pull this out of here. Like I said, the pump just sits down in a little channel there. And I talked to the customer yesterday, and the bike was running, because I asked him whether the fuel pump worked or not, and he said, yeah, it was working, but the tank was nasty. So we're going to get another filter and put on here too, just because. But that's the fuel pump there, and it just sits in there. It hooks up to a standpipe right here that goes out underneath the tank and hooks up to the induction module line. So yeah, we'll replace that filter. And I mean, look at those clamps. Ain't no way that's coming off of there. I soaked them down yesterday too, still couldn't move them. What I'll do is get a fuel injection line. Instead of using regular rubber hose, I'll have to get some fuel injection line to run these, and some new clamps, and we should be good to go. So I guess I can start blowing this thing out now. I have to block off these lines because it's got this line here that goes up to the cap. That's just a vent line for the cap there. Or actually, that's the drain for if you overfill the tank, it drains down through the cap there. Hooks up to this little pipe here, or this one or the other. Had to get 4 more set screws for the gas cap holder there, because it was missing these set screws. So when you put it in there, you just tighten up the set screws, and they sit in this little groove right here, and tighten it up like that, and then you push it down in there and tighten the set screws up. But we're not doing that now. We're just going to blow it out real good. Still got to cover some stuff up, but that's it for that section. Let me hook the air compressor up and we'll blow this tank out. Alright, so we're going to blow this thing out now. We're going to blow as much of the rust out here as we can now. Then we'll seal everything up, put lacquer thinner in there, and then we can start coating it after that. Now we're not going to get all the rust out of it. We're still going to have surface rust, but we are going to coat over top of it. We'll be fine. This crap will get out of here. Quite a bit, huh? That still stinks, man. my little compressor don't like this shit much. All right, I wrapped the tank in cellophane there. Got my little plug in the bottom of the tank there where the petcock goes. Just an expandable rubber plug, like a emergency freeze plug, really. The hole was 7/8. This is a 3/4 to 7/8 inch expandable plug. Now I'm going to put probably 2 pints of lacquer thinner in there and slosh it around. Hopefully we don't have any leaks anywhere. This paint should be good. It's been a year. Paint's been on there, so should be good. And we're just putting the cellophane on there to keep stuff as covered up as we can. So let's go here. That's one. Now the point of the lacquer thinner is just to get any remnants of gas out of there, bad gas or whatever is in there. And then we'll blow it out again with compressed air once it's dried out. So let me see if we got this thing sealed up good enough. Yep, no leaks. So once we blow this out, I'll pull the cap back off here, blow it out, and make sure we get any big chunks out of there. Now if you can see that, that's our rubber stopper right there. Works out better than doing it with a petcock in there, really. And the cap too. Now when you coat this, well, I'll go over that. When you coat this, you'll need to pull the cap out of there and make sure that you don't have any epoxy up on the lock on the cap or in the vent or anything. Because once the epoxy dries, it's hard to get off of there. It'll gum the lock up and you'll end up having to buy a new cap or disassemble the cap and cut all the epoxy off of it. So it's best just to take it off and wipe it clean once you're done with it. Soak it in lacquer thinner so the epoxy doesn't dry up. Alright, let's pull this rubber plug out of here. Stoppers out. Straighten this stuff out here to see how nasty it is. Try not to get any on us. Well, that ought to be good enough. The rest of it's going to evaporate here pretty quickly. Leave the cap open. Let it evaporate. And we'll be good to go. And then we'll dry it out and it should be good. Didn't get all the lacquer thinner out, but it's going to evaporate. That's what we got right there. It's pretty ugly looking, if you can see it. And then we'll blow the rest of that out, and then we'll treat it one more time with lacquer thinner, and then we'll blow it out again. Then we'll be ready to coat. Let's go make some breakfast here. All right, we're going to start blowing out the tank here so we can coat it here in a little bit. This is our two-part epoxy here. It's gonna Battleship Gray gas tank sealer, Part A. They have other colors. They offer it in red, blue, clear, navy blue, I think, and a lighter blue, and Battleship Gray, and they have a black one too. I got to tell you that I did one in black for a guy because for whatever reason that's what he wanted, and you couldn't see inside the tank there when it was done. So if you didn't have a gas gauge on there, you wanted to look in the tank and see the fuel level, you couldn't really see it much. Got my free stir sticks here from the Napa store. Now, you don't have a whole bunch of time to be dicking around once this stuff starts hardening after about 15 minutes, really, depending on how hot or cold it is. Perfect day is you want it about at least 77 degrees. You can do it when it's hotter. It just dries quicker. Now, it will dry quicker if it's hot. If you stick the tank out in the sun, normally it takes about, I think they say 24 to 36 hours before it's dry. Trust me, you epoxy a tank, you stick it out in the sun, and it reaches 140 degrees on the tank. It dries pretty damn quick. So you want to make sure you got it all mixed up really good. And they say if it's too thick, you can add a little bit of lacquer thinner to it to thin it out some. I've never put lacquer thinner in it. Never had to. It covers just fine. Got all the plugs in there. Got our funnel set up. Got our epoxy already mixed. I'm going to give it a couple more stirs before I pour it. Now the saran wrap, usually you put a couple of drops of this down when you pour it. So the saran wrap on the tank is really just to help protect it. Now this epoxy is going to get hot too when it starts to cure. It's going to put off a little heat. So clean funnel. Let's go ahead and pour all that in there. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn it every which way we can, really, to let the epoxy run where it needs to go. And then we'll drain off any excess that we have in there. And what you're going to have to do is once it sets up for maybe about an hour, just go back like in the petcock and take and trim any of that out of there. Just use a razor knife or something so you can get the petcock and fittings back in there. And we'll pull the cap off of here too. And I'll show you what I do around the mouth of the gas cap there where the gas cap goes in. I always put a little coating on that just because it helps. These things get corroded a little bit. Not so much on this because this is aluminum cap, but on some of the steel tanks, they'll rust up pretty good around there. So I always put a little smear of epoxy on there, just to help keep them from rusting, because that stuff is better than paint. This stuff is. Okay. Now we're just going to turn it all different kinds of directions. Now we had rust up on the top of the tank here from sticking the endoscope in there. Well, hell, there was rust everywhere in this thing, but pretty good up on the top there. I think we got good coverage. I'm going to go ahead and pull the cap off here and get a good look down in there since I can't see really. Yeah, we're looking pretty good on the coverage. I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not. We got it all over the hump there. Let me see if it's still moving around a little bit. I might put the cap back on, put some tape over it, and give it some more swirls here. Let me see. Nah, it's starting to dry already, so we're going to pull the plug out and drain what we can out of it. And I think that's it for this tank. Get this epoxy off my hands before I get it all over the gas tank somewhere. All right. Let's get this plug out of here. Yeah, it's already drying up, setting up. It ain't moving no more, so that's actually pretty cool. You get this plug out, and we'll have to clean that cap off real good and go over the insert where the cap bolts up to. I don't think nothing's going to drain out. It's already getting hard. So that's actually good enough. I'm happy with that. Put some of this on. All I'm going to do here is smear some of this around that's on here and smear it around the edges here, so it'll seal it up. And I'm probably going to go ahead and slap this back in there real quick. Let it dry with it in there, so it'll, because I got sealer on this O-ring here, and I know if I don't get it back in there, it ain't gonna stick. So I got to pull this off. Looks good to me. I'm gonna spray some more lacquer thinner on this cap here. And we're going to let this thing sit up overnight, or at least overnight, maybe a couple of days. We'll see how it sets up. Make sure this lock moves. Yep. Lock's moving good. Leave the cellophane on there. I did wax this tank before I started on this. Good heavy coat of wax on there and kind of left it on. Not kind of, I did leave it on there. So we're going to let that sit up, and then I'm going to come back here in a little bit and blow through these lines and make sure that the epoxy isn't drying up around where the petcock is, or the fuel outlet, whatever you want to call it. So we'll see in a little bit. But that's pretty much it for the tank. Pretty damn simple. Follow the directions to a T, and you'll be good to go. All right, it's Sunday afternoon, sometime on Sunday, probably 1 or 2 o'clock. So I'll come back and check this in about an hour and see how we did. Clean everything out, and that's about it, really. You guys have a great week. I appreciate you watching. Appreciate you subscribing. Appreciate the comments, emails, whatever.